My name is Sam. I'm an architect. I spend my days drawing plans, blueprints, structures designed to last. My office is a quiet, glass-walled box overlooking the restless gray of the Portland skyline. I spend my days trying to bring order to chaos, to create spaces that feel solid, permanent, and safe. I'm good at building foundations for other people. I'm good at calculating load-bearing walls and stress points. I was never very good at seeing the cracks in my own. Just hours ago, my wife, Eliza, left. There was no shouting, no grand, cinematic slamming of doors. Our ending wasn't a storm. It was a frost, a slow, silent freeze that had been coming for months, for years. A quiet so cold it finally shattered the glass. She had simply packed a single, monogrammed suitcase, one I recognized from her last business trip, placed her wedding ring on the cold, white marble of the kitchen counter, and walked out into the rain. Next to the ring, there was a note. Just a note. 6 words on a piece of thick, expensive stationery from the hotel she'd stayed at last week. I can't live in the quiet anymore. She left behind a silence that was heavier, more suffocating than any argument we ever had. I can't piece together her last words, because there weren't any. Just that note. All I can remember clearly is the sharp, decisive click of her heels on the hardwood floor of the hall, and the final, heavy thud of the old oak door as she pulled it shut. No hesitation. A clean break. The house feels wrong. It feels hollowed out. Pressurized. I walk through the rooms we designed together. Every line is clean, every surface minimalist. It was her aesthetic. I see it now. A house with nowhere to hide. No clutter, no comfort, just space. The photos on the mantle are suddenly a mockery. Smiling faces from trips to Italy, holidays with friends, anniversaries, moments that once seemed like solid foundations. Now, they just look like a thin veneer. I pick one up. Our first anniversary. We're at the coast, windswept and laughing. I trace her smile with my thumb and wonder, when did that smile stop being for me? When did it become the public face she put on? The one she wore to parties, the one that never quite reached her eyes. I think of the long, silent dinners where the only sound was the scraping of silverware on porcelain, the nights she worked late at the gallery, coming home smelling of her sharp, unfamiliar perfume and expensive wine, her eyes too bright, the way she had begun to look through me, as if I were just another well-designed, functional, and ultimately boring piece of furniture. The signs were all there, like hairline fractures in a wall. I had seen them, but I'm an architect. I fix structures. I had ignored them. I kept trying to patch the plaster, believing that our history, that our structure, could hold everything together. Now, the truth is sitting on the counter, gleaming under the track lighting she had installed. Cold, hard, and undeniable. I am alone. Sound of a faucet running, then stopping. I walk into the kitchen. The sight of 2 untouched coffee mugs on the counter stops me. An espresso for her, a black coffee for me. I'd made them that morning. A small, hopeful ritual, an attempt to start a conversation. She hadn't even touched it. I pick up her mug, then mine. I pour them both down the sink. The dark liquid swirls away, like the last 12 years of my life. The sound of the gurgling drain is too loud in the cavernous quiet. It only reminds me of how empty the house has become. I sit back on the expensive, uncomfortable sofa she picked out. I'm in the dark, trying to breathe. My chest feels heavy, like it's full of wet concrete. I want to call someone, to hear a human voice, to be told this isn't the end of everything. But I can't. Who would I even call? Our friends were her friends. Polished, fast-moving people from the art world. People who saw my quiet life as boring, predictable. They would offer a few sympathetic, awkward words, and then they would call her for the real story. And I'm not even sure I understand it myself. I can't live in the quiet anymore. What did it mean? Was I the quiet, or was this house? Was I the anchor that had become a cage? Sound of a sharp, sudden doorbell, echoing in the quiet room. I freeze. My heart does that stupid, hopeful leap. A painful lurch against my ribs. Is it her? Did she forget her laptop? Did she change her mind? Was this all a terrible, dramatic mistake? But I dismiss it. Eliza isn't the type to leave and come back. She makes clean breaks. This is what she wanted. Slowly, I get up. I feel like I'm moving through water. I walk to the door, my reflection a gray ghost in the hallway mirror. I open the door. Standing there is Anna, Eliza's mother. Her presence throws me off completely. She's calm, dressed in a simple dark raincoat, holding a small, folded umbrella. She looks timeless, like a figure from another era. Her eyes, though, are not calm. They are the same deep green as her daughter's, but where Eliza's are restless and as hold a deep, knowing sorrow and a quiet, ancient strength. I don't know what to say. We've always been polite, but distant. She was the quiet mother in the corner at parties, the one Eliza treated with a kind of fond exasperation. Sam, she says softly. Her voice is like aged wood, carrying a warmth I wasn't expecting. May I come in? I step aside, numb. I'm confused. Why is she here? I brace myself for the assault. What did you do? How could you let this happen? After all, her daughter just walked away from me. It would be so easy, so natural, for her to point the finger. But she walks in gently, not as an accuser, but as a witness. She glances at the kitchen counter, sees the note, sees the ring still gleaming under the light. She sees it all. She closes her eyes for just a second. Oh, Sam, she whispers that we sit in the living room, on the two matching, uncomfortable chairs. The same space that felt unbearably empty just a minute ago. I struggle for words. My throat is tight. Finally, I just say it. The only thing that's real. She's gone. Anna looks at me, her gaze steady, unflinching. I know, she replies. Her tone isn't sharp or surprised. She called me from the car. She's on her way to the airport. The airport. My stomach drops. She's leaving the city. She's going to New York with the man she works for. At the gallery, the words hit me. I knew it, of course. The late nights, the perfume, but hearing it spoken aloud by her mother, it makes it real. It's not just a frost. It's an infidelity. My throat tightens even more. Then you know, she doesn't want this anymore. Anna pauses, as if choosing her words with care. Sam, sometimes people leave, not because they don't care, but because they simply don't know how to stay. Eliza, she's been searching for a different song for a long time. A faster song. And it's not a song you could have taught her. Her words startle me. A faster song. That's exactly it. I had braced myself for a storm of blame. Instead, she's offering me validation, shelter. It's unexpected. It's disarming. I lean back, letting her words sink in. For the first time all night, the crushing silence in the apartment doesn't feel quite so total. Anna's presence fills the space. She doesn't press for details. She doesn't dig into the raw wounds. She just sits there, giving me the one thing I hadn't realized I needed. Companionship. Music fades in. Softly, thoughtful Anna didn't rush to speak again. She has a stillness about her, a quality I'd always admired, but never really understood. She understood that silence, the right kind of silence, can heal. I, on the other hand, felt restless. I kept looking at my architectural models on the shelf, at the rain on the window, anywhere but her face. I wanted to explain, to justify, to say something that would make sense of the last year. But every sentence just collapsed in my mind. How could I explain that I'd let this happen? That I had stood by, patching the walls, while the foundation crumbled. Finally, she breaks the stillness. Sam, she says, her voice so soft. I didn't come here to assign blame. I came because I know you're hurting, and I didn't want you to have to face this night alone. Her words hit me harder than any anger could have. I look up. There's only sincerity in her eyes. Not pity, just sincerity. I loved her. Anna, I say, the words spilling out, hot and sudden. I did everything I knew how. I tried, I really tried. But maybe I wasn't enough. Too quiet, too simple, too slow. My voice cracks on the last word. I lean forward, burying my face in my hands. ashamed of the sudden, raw grief I feel more than see her lean closer. Her tone is firm, but impossibly gentle. Don't you dare say that. You gave her your love. You gave her a home. You gave her. The hours move strangely. I open up. I talk about the distance, the late nights, the emptiness I tried to hide even from myself. I admit I pretended everything was fine because I was terrified of this exact moment, terrified of the truth. She listens. She just listens. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't offer solutions. She just holds the space. At one point, I look at her, exhausted. I don't know why I'm telling you this. You're her mother. You should hate me. Anna shakes her head, a small, sad smile on her lips. Hate doesn't fix anything, Sam. And I don't hate you. I see your pain, and I know your heart. You were good to my daughter. Perhaps you were more patient than she deserved. You deserve someone to remind you of that. Even if she couldn't, her kindness is a lifeline. For the first time since Eliza walked out that door, I feel a little less alone. I look at Anna differently, not just as my mother-in-law, but as a person, a woman, someone who understands me in a way Eliza hadn't. At the end, later, she gets up. She walks into my kitchen and moves with a quiet, familiar purpose, finding mugs, boiling the kettle, as if she belongs there. She comes back with 2 steaming cups of tea. I wrap my hands round the mug, letting the warmth seep into my palms. It's not just the tea, it's the gesture. The simple, profound act of caring. Music shifts, lighter, a gentle melody. The weeks that followed were heavy, a fog of paperwork, lawyers, and empty days. I moved from the couch to my drafting table and back. The house was a ghost ship. I tried to work, but the blueprints blurred. The silence was deafening. But Anna's presence became a quiet anger. At first, it was just small acts of kindness. A text in the morning, thinking of you. I hope the day is gentle. A thermos of soup left on my doorstep. A short conversation on the phone, just to break the crushing silence. But over time, I began to look forward to those visits. Her footsteps in the hall, her voice, the way she'd bring a small plant from her garden to put on the windowsill, bringing a little life back into the apartment. It wasn't just about company. It was the comfort of being seen. One afternoon, she found me in the back garden. It was the one part of the property I'd never designed. Eliza had always talked about planting a perfect, manicured English garden. But we never did. It was just weeds and hard-packed earth. Anna found me just staring at it. It has good light, she said, coming up beside me. It's just dirt, I said. No, she said, bending down and crumbling a bit of soil between her fingers. It's not just dirt, it's potential. The next day, she came over in an old flannel shirt, jeans, and muddy boots, with a box of seedlings and a trowel. She didn't ask. She just knelt in the dirt and started pulling weeds. I stood there for a minute, watching her. Her movements were sure, practiced. Then, I went to the shed, found my own shovel, and knelt beside her. We worked for hours, in silence. But it was a good silence, a shared silence. We tore out the old, compacted earth and turned the soil. We were, I realized, building a new foundation. That Friday, I came home from the office, exhausted, the smell of blueprints and ink clinging to me. I found her waiting on the porch steps, holding a basket. I thought you might not have eaten, she said, with her usual, gentle smile. My chest eased at the sight of her. You didn't have to, Anna. I wanted to, she said simply. We ate together at the kitchen table. It was a simple stew, but it was the best thing I'd tasted in months. And for the first time in so long, the apartment felt warm. It felt like a home. I found myself watching her, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about the garden, about the heirloom tomatoes she'd brought, the way she moved with this quiet, unassuming grace. I caught myself staring and quickly looked away, feeling a flush of something I couldn't name, afraid of what it meant. Later, we moved to the living room. The fireplace crackled. You know, Anna began, her tone thoughtful. I was worried about you, Sam. When Eliza told me she was leaving, I thought you'd just stop, that you close up shop and shut the world out. But you surprised me. I gave a faint laugh. I didn't feel strong. I felt broken. But you've made it easier. I don't think I would have gotten through these weeks without you. Her eyes softened, and something unspoken hung in the air between us. We shared stories. Not about Eliza, about the past. I talked about my father, and how he was a stonemason. How he taught me that a foundation is the only thing that matters. He used to say, I told her, that you don't build on the land, you build with it. You have to respect it. Anna looked at me, a real, understanding light in her eyes. That's beautiful, she said. And you? I asked. Your garden. You work like you know the land, too. She told me about her life before she was a mother, about her dreams of being a botanist. What happened? I asked. She shrugged, a small, sad gesture. Life, I suppose. I got married. I had Eliza, her father. He was a practical man. He didn't see the value in dirt, as he called it. He was a stockbroker. He wanted things that were fast and profitable. And then Eliza came and, well, she was a handful. She was always a lot like him, always needing that faster song. There just wasn't room for it anymore. I put my books on a high shelf, and there they've stayed for 30 years. The hours slipped by, the firelight flickered across her face. I noticed details I'd never let myself see before. The small lines of kindness round her eyes, the strength in her hands, the deep, unspoken loss in her voice. She had been living in the quiet, too. A thought, quiet and dangerous, crossed my mind. What would it feel like to reach out and take one of those hands? I pushed the thought away, viciously, guilty. But the feeling didn't fade. As the evening ended, I walked her to the door. She turned to face me. Our eyes locked for just a moment longer than normal. It was a look that spoke volumes, a silent conversation I didn't know how to have. Thank you, I said quietly, for everything. You've made this place feel alive again. Her lips curved into a soft smile. You're stronger than you know, Sam. Don't ever forget that. Our hands brushed as I held the door. The contact was brief, but it sent a shock of warmth through me I couldn't explain. When the door closed, I leaned against it, my heart unsteady. I had expected to feel only grief these past weeks, but instead, something new had begun to grow in the ruins. Something I hadn't seen coming. That night, lying awake, I replayed the evening, the laughter, the comfortable silence, the story of her forgotten dreams, the lingering glance. I told myself it was nothing, just gratitude, just loneliness. But deep down, I knew better. Anna wasn't just helping me survive. She was changing me. And one question echoed in my mind, over and over. What if the person who understood me most wasn't the one who had left, but the one who had stayed? Music swells, then softens into a more tense, uncertain melody. The next afternoon, she knocked. When I opened the door, she was just standing there. No soup, no seedlings, just herself. She looked calm, but serious. My chest tightened. This visit was different. Can I come in? She walked into the living room, but she didn't sit. She stood by the window, looking out at the small garden we had started, her back to me. The first green shoots were pushing through. Sam, she began, her voice steady. I've been thinking about these past few weeks, about the time we've spent, about our conversations. She paused, searching my eyes in the reflection of the glass. I didn't just come here for Liz's sake, Sam. In the beginning, maybe, but not anymore. I came because I wanted to. I swallowed, my mouth suddenly dry. You've helped me more than you know, Anna. She turned to face me. And you, she said, you've reminded me of something I thought I'd lost. The feeling of being truly seen. Sam, I know this isn't what either of us expected, but I can't ignore what's growing in my heart. Her words hit me with the force of a physical blow. I stared at her, stunned. Anna, are you saying? She nodded just once. Her eyes were steady, but vulnerable. I care about you, Sam, deeply. Not as my daughter's husband, not as a project to fix, but as you. I felt a rush of emotions, shock, confusion, guilt, fear. But also, beneath it all, a deep, undeniable, terrifying pull. I had felt it for weeks. I had just refused to name it. I stepped back, running a hand through my hair. This is impossible, I whispered. Anna, you're her mother, people, the world. They would never understand. Anna moved closer, her voice calm, but firm. I've spent my entire life doing what's possible, doing what people understand. I became the wife they expected, the mother they expected. I put my passion on a high shelf, and so have you. You became the quiet husband, the provider, the one who stays. Look where it's gotten us. Alone, in a quiet room, she held my gaze. Life doesn't always follow the blueprints. Sam, love doesn't ask for permission. It just grows in the cracks, in the ruins. And I don't want to make this harder for you, she said gently. If you don't feel this, I will walk out that door and we will never speak of it again. I will go back to being Eliz's mother. But I couldn't stay silent. You deserve the truth. My mind raced. I thought of Eliza, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the cold, empty space she left. But then I thought of Anna, the warmth, the laughter, the way she listened, the way she looked at the blueprints on my table like they were art, the way she had reminded me of my own worth when I felt like nothing. Finally, I spoke, my voice low, almost a whisper. I don't know what this means, Anna. I don't know what we're supposed to do, but I can't deny it. God help me, I can't. I feel it, too. Her breath hitched. A single tear escaped and ran down her cheek. And for the first time, I saw her eyes shine with both relief and fear. Then, she said softly, we'll take it one day at a time. No expectations, no rules, just honesty. Music swells, then resolves into a quiet, peaceful theme narrator. Sam, that was 6 months ago. It wasn't easy. Of course it was, and single quotes 2 weeks after that conversation, Eliza called. She didn't call to reconcile. She called to tell me her lawyer would be serving me with divorce papers. I was calm. I said, I understand. And then she said, and stay away from my mother. She told me she's been checking on you. It's pathetic. Don't use her as your emotional crutch, Sam. My voice was quiet, but it didn't shake. Your mother is the only one who has shown me any real kindness. Eliza, you don't get to dictate that. You're a monster, she hissed, and hung up when she found out. Really found out. She was furious. She said things I won't repeat. Foul things. She called me a predator. She called her mother a traitor. She used words as weapons, trying to hurt us both as much as she had been hurt. And friends we had shared for a decade. They chose sides. Most of them didn't choose ours. The world, it turns out, doesn't like things it can't easily label. We were judged. We were whispered about. It was hard. One night, after a particularly cruel email from Eliza, I found Anna in the garden. She was just standing there, looking at the new tomato plants. She's right, I said, my voice rough. What she said. It's wrong. Anna turned to me. She wasn't crying. She was angry. No, she said, her voice like flint. She is wrong. She is a child who broke a toy and is now furious that someone else is finding joy in it. What she did was wrong. What her father did to me was wrong. This is not wrong. It's just life. And I will not apologize for feeling alive again, Sam, and neither should you. But every time the world pushed against us, every time I felt the wave of guilt or shame, Anna would just put her hand on mine and say, are you okay, Sam? And I would look at her, and I would nod. I sold the firm in the city. I sold the house that held so many ghosts. I packed up my drafting table, my books, my entire life. We live on the coast of Maine now, in a small town with a rocky shore. It's quiet here, the air is clean, and it smells of salt and pine. We bought a small house, an old fixer-upper, a place with good bones. I'm rebuilding it with my own hands. I'm replacing the rotted sills, re-shingling the roof. It keeps me sane. And Anna, she's finally planting her garden. A huge, sprawling, magnificent garden that overlooks the sea. She's taken her botany books down from the high shelf. They're all over the kitchen table, open and dog-eared. I don't know what to call this. It's not a story with a simple label. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's ours. Last week, a letter came from Eliza. It wasn't angry. It was just sad. She's still in New York. The faster song wasn't what she thought it would be. The gallery owner had moved on to someone new. She asked if she could come home. I read it, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not pity, just distance. I showed it to Anna. She read it, folded it, and put it on the counter. What are you going to do? She asked. I don't know, I said. I walked out to my workshop and looked at the house, our house. I thought about the blueprints of my old life, and I knew. I walked back inside. Anna was making tea. I took the letter, walked to the fireplace, and I put it in. We watched the paper curl and blacken. Home isn't there anymore, I said. Anna just nodded and handed me my mug. I look at her, and she looks at me, and we're seen. When one chapter closes, another one really does begin, even if it begins in the most unexpected, most impossible way.